Hello traders, good day to you all. This is Christopher Glen from PlusFinancial. Today it is the 17th of March 2014 and this is a daily market review for the current market status, but today I'll go over the entire weekly calendar, see where we've got a larger amount of potential. Let's go to this weekly calendar. Okay. So we can see that today, Monday, we've got a very low amount of information driven into the market. Several orange announcements. I can tell you that personally I saw a bit of liquidity this morning. I closed several trades that were open since last week. And generally right now I'm stepping out of the market, waiting for the market to express an additional information so that I'll be able to locate potential areas to join movements. I might receive several good indications during today's morning or later movements during the US markets time frame. But at the moment the market is pretty slow. It's fluctuating around the same levels. And surprisingly, we've received a lot of liquidity last week, and we had a lot of movements that we need to arrange our assessment regarding this week. I can tell you that we've got a lot of announcements this week and a lot of potential for a variety of assets. Today specifically, I do want to concentrate on the US dollar. I'll show you how I'm analyzing the US dollar, but that's not just it. Every analysis I'm taking another currency, some currency from the currency world, and I'm analyzing its structure, and according to that I'm analyzing potential in other assets. I do want to talk about the long-term investment in the US dollar. Question the charts, what is the potential that we can see? And let's begin with the analysis according to announcements. So this morning, next morning, we will have an announcement regarding the Australian dollar, red announcement. We saw the Australian dollar at the beginning of last week gaining a lot of strength, and then at the end of the week it lost a lot of strength. So it's approximately equivalent, though this week, this Monday, this morning, we had a lot of movement on behalf of the Australian dollar. Now, there isn't a lot of potential in the announcements themselves, but we saw a lot of movement regarding the Australian dollar toward a stronger Australian dollar. So I'll stay tuned with my aspect regarding the Australian dollar after this announcement. But generally, I do see a potential for an additional strength on behalf of the Australian dollar. I want to remind you that the market is always moving in the next formation. Strong liquidized movement. Let's say that this is the indication for the Australian dollar. Okay. So if the Australian dollar gains some strength at the beginning of last week, and at the end of the last week it lost some strength, then it's logical that we will see an additional stronger Australian dollar continuing its expression of strength in the market. The market is it's not expressing only announcements but also psychology. And when psychology is driven into the market, then we can expect to from traders to express the same potential into for several weeks, not for a day or two. Now, if traders over here saw potential for stronger Australian dollar, although we've received a bit of weakness, that it didn't cause a lot of traders to forget that the Australian dollar is in a plus, it's in a positive potential. Then obviously the smallest recognition that indeed the Australian dollar should receive an additional strength will cause a lot of traders to join toward that direction. Therefore, I do expect the Australian dollar to gain some strength in the market for the next several days. And we've got a potential over here, the announcement regarding the Australian dollar already from Tuesday morning. After that, we've got the European market, specifically the German index. The DAX itself should gain strength or lose strength, as is expressing this potential over here. This is specifically an announcement regarding the German market. Pay attention to that. After that, 12:30, we've got several announcements, red announcements regarding the Canadian dollar and the US dollar. I love this combination between two assets. Always a good potential to trade somewhere on something affected by the announcements themselves. And later on, we've got several announcements regarding the Canadian dollar and the pound. It's not an announcement on the Canadian dollar and on the pound, just an announcement from the Bank of Canada and Bank of England. So generally, we've got a lot of potential in terms of liquidity for the pound and for the Canadian dollar during the night time, during the US markets time frame on Tuesday. But before that, as I said, we've got a variety of announcements, good announcements. So Tuesday is expected to deliver a lot of liquidity to the market. Wednesday, you see this enormous amount of announcements on the pound and on the dollar and the New Zealand and the dollar. FOMC press conference, always delivering a lot of liquidity. So both Tuesday and Wednesday will deliver a lot of movement on the chart, no question about it. Thursday, Swiss franc, Japanese yen will definitely take the hold for the liquidity on these days. And again, the unemployment claims, as we're always expecting through Thursday, we will receive that indication as well. We've got another manufacturing index over here regarding the US dollar. So usually we expect Thursday to deliver liquidity on behalf of the US dollar, but we've got other frontiers over here as well. Bank of Japan is going to deliver announcements, and the Swiss franc is going to be affected from the announcements over here. And Friday, a bit of a quiet Friday. Generally, the Japanese bank will be closed, as in expressing the holiday that we've got over there. And we've got a Canadian dollar announcements. But beside that, again, another potential. Now, I said that last Friday. I said, according to last Friday, I said that according to the announcements, I'm expecting to see low amount of liquidity. Obviously, we've received a lot of liquidity, but the potential in terms of announcements, it's one thing, and the potential in terms of technical analysis is another. So always remember, Friday is preferable on behalf of traders to pull funds out of the market. By that, they will cause liquidity regardless of the potential. But obviously, we've got some potential over here using the announcements regarding the Canadian dollar. So generally, for that week, I'll say this: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are very liquidized. Will express a lot of potential. We will analyze the dollar's condition, and according to that, we will try to assess what will be the effect from the announcements on the currencies in the world, around the world. And on Friday, we've got several announcements, but again, the only announcement that I'm into is the Canadian announcements from 12:30 p.m. GMT time. Let's go to the charts and let's see what we're expecting to see from the US dollar specifically. So as I said, today I'm going to analyze the US dollar. The first thing that I'm doing when I'm analyzing the US dollar, I'm going to the dollar index. Forgot to change the time frame on each and every asset. Just 1 second. There we go. So dollar index. Let's analyze the chart of the dollar index. I've talked a lot about the dollar index from the beginning of 2013, expressing a lot of potential in an uptrend movement since this area and beyond. But let's talk about the larger cycle. As we can see, the market climbed higher over here with 5 waves of an uptrend movement. We've received a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. We can say that the 4 dropped down till here, and a 5 climbing up till this area. So 5 waves of an uptrend movement has formed a potential for a continuance of an uptrend. Just that this structure over here can form 2 different structures. The first one is an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave is expected to drop down. The other potential is an A, B, and C pattern completing its structure over here, and then we're expecting to see an uptrend. But as we know, in terms of length, whenever we're dealing with impulse movements and corrective patterns, then usually the impulse movements are quicker in terms of time, and the corrective patterns are longer in terms of time. Therefore, it's not likely that we've seen this entire completion of a downtrend movement. My assumption is that we saw the A wave over here. We will see a B wave climbing up until here. I'm expecting to see an uptrend on behalf of the dollar. And then we will see a downtrend movement that will deliver approximately this downtrend movement. The thing is that if this is an A, B, and C structure, it's logical that the B wave, this is my assumption that we're seeing over here, will form approximately the same length as the A wave in terms of cycle, in terms of time frame. So a logical movement over here on the dollar, again, this is my assumption right now according to this structure, is that we will see an uptrend movement over here that will climb approximately till here. We're talking about 4%, approximately 4% in terms of general strength on behalf of the dollar in the market. What does a stronger dollar delivers? Now again, this is a weekly chart. I remind you, I'm talking about the next 2-3 months, approximately 2 or 3 months of stronger dollar in the market. What will deliver stronger dollar in the market? A stronger dollar in the market will deliver a weaker gold, weaker commodities generally. And the only thing that we need to do right now as Forex traders is to locate potential weaker currencies and try to express the strength of the dollar in front of them. Now again, it's a weekly chart. A daily chart reveals that we still have a potential of a bit of fluctuation level around this level. We will need to break this trend line above the corrective pattern of the dollar index so that we will set foot toward a stronger dollar in the market. Now that move may happen instantly as an outcome of an announcement regarding the FOMC, for example, or other announcements regarding the unemployment rate or the NFP, the non-farm payroll. Good potential to break this area and to begin climbing up, just as we had on all the other breakups that we had over here. I want you to pay attention that while the uptrend movements are very liquidized, very quick, the downtrend movements are forming a choppy and indecisive movement. Again, liquidized movement and a choppy overlapping movement. It shows us that generally the market is recognizing a potential of a stronger dollar. It embraces a stronger dollar in the market. Therefore, a stronger dollar will reveal longer, more liquidized movements on behalf of the dollar index. Therefore, I'm expecting this expression to express the same length and the same strength on other currencies, especially in front of weak currencies. So this is the assumption regarding the dollar index. Let's look at the potential regarding the euro versus the US dollar. On a weekly chart, we can see, again, I've analyzed that with you several times. On a weekly chart, we can see that we're completing a corrective pattern, a cycle over here. We've received 5 waves of drop down. We've received an A, a B, and a C is forming at the moment. We've received the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5 is forming at the moment. Therefore, I do expect to see a completion of an uptrend on behalf of the euro versus the US dollar. Once that will happen, once we'll break this trend line below this structure, then I do expect to see the euro losing a lot of strength in front of the dollar, and that aspect is really going along with my assumption earlier regarding the stronger US dollar in the market on behalf of the dollar index. On a daily chart, we can even mark this movement. Let's add the Elliott wave instrument. There we go. Over here, according to the volume of the movements, we can see that we've received the first wave, the second wave, the 1, 2, 3, 4 is forming at the moment, and 5 will climb up. This will be the completion of the third wave. Then we will have a downtrend movement, and then we will have the last uptrend movement. My assumption is that the uptrend movement will climb basically it reached the top. I wouldn't wait for it. It's a very long movement, but 1.41 approximately, that's a logical target for this move, reaching the 72 level, which is a very logical pullback on behalf of the dollar versus the euro. The dollar versus the euro love this combination. If we'll go to this aspect specifically, if I'm not mistaken, that was a pullback of 72 level as well. Yeah, there we go. The market dropped down and then pulled back toward the 72 level and then began to drop down again. The euro versus the US dollar loves the combination of the 72 level, and I would definitely wait for the market to reach this area 1.4 and then start to drop down. That's the specific combination between the euro versus the US dollar. So right now I do expect to see a bit of uptrend, downtrend fluctuating around these levels. The trend line here at the bottom. Let's make a more accurate trend line. There we go. Okay, so bouncing backward and forward around this level and then breaking this trend line will begin the long, strong movements that I'm expecting to see lower on the euro versus the US dollar. So just to complete the idea of the euro versus the US dollar, the assumption at the moment is that the euro, US dollar, right now the euro should gain strength in front of the US dollar, so I'm putting it higher than the US dollar. Dollar Swiss franc, it's a very long-term fluctuation level over here. We've received a very long impulse movement climbing higher, and then we've received an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave dropping down right now. According to the Elliott wave analysis, the C wave is expected to deliver approximately the same length of the A wave. That is the logical common measurement. Because of that, I'm drawing a trend line. I'm drawing an arrow expressing approximately the length of the A wave and the C wave. As you can see, dropping down over here, we've reached a higher rate, we've reached a longer, a deeper pullback of the C wave, expected to complete its structure over here. Now a C wave should divide to 5 waves. We've got the 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 is dropping down right now. Let's go to a low time frame and see what is the potential of this downtrend movement. So over here, that should be the completion of the 5th wave. We've received a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. Let's use the Elliott wave instruments. I want to count the inner structure over here. So we've got a 1, a 2, seems like this entire structure is still the third wave of 5. So we've got a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we should see a bit of an uptrend and then a completion of 5 wave dropping down. So we do expect to see a bit more downtrend movement because we're forming at the moment a lower structure. Then I would say that any uptrend above this area 0.89 will begin the uptrend movement that we're expecting to see on behalf of the dollar in front of the Swiss franc. Again, as you can see, my analysis is going toward the same direction, stronger dollar in the market, especially regarding the euro versus the US dollar and Swiss franc versus the US dollar. A stronger dollar will express the opposite direction on the dollar Swiss franc, just as the dollar index that we've got over here. Daily chart. Okay. The dollar index, where's the Swiss franc, is up here. Okay. So as you can see, I want you to pay attention to, you know what, let's erase the okay. I want you to see that the dollar Swiss franc and the dollar index, they form approximately the same movement. We've got strong downtrend liquidized movement just as we had over here at the same time. Then we had a strong pullback over here. That was this pullback on the dollar index chart. Then we had 1, 2, 3. That's this 1, 2, 3. And then we had a pullback. That's this one. Then we had an up and down, a down and up. That was this down and up. And now we've got the last downtrend movement, which is over here, the last downtrend movement. It's just approximately the same equation. Our expectation from the US dollar index should express the same structure on the dollar versus the Swiss franc and the opposite structure on the euro versus the US dollar. Okay, downtrend, uptrend, uptrend, downtrend, and so on and so on. Just the mirror of the movement on the euro versus US dollar. So generally we can say that the dollar is expected to gain strength in the market, just that right now we expect to see the euro and the Swiss franc gaining strength in front of the US dollar. And my assumption is that in a week or so we will see this equation turning the other way around. The dollar is gaining strength in front of many currencies and reflecting the same appearance on the dollar Swiss franc and the euro versus the US dollar. Long downtrend dollar versus the Swiss franc uptrend is expected, and on the euro versus the US dollar a downtrend is expected. A long downtrend expected on the euro versus the US dollar on the rates that I've mentioned earlier. From here, from Plus Financial, I'd like to wish you all the best with your trades. Have a pleasant day and bye bye.